So next one is physical and chemical changes. So here we will one by one understand what are physical changes and what are chemical changes. In the previous chapter you would have learnt about few physical properties of matter, if you remember. So they are the properties that can be observed and specified. That type of property is called as physical properties. So we will understand first what are called as the physical change. So physical change are changes that occur without a change in the composition of substance and also no change in chemical nature of substance. That means overall internal structure of the matter remains the same. Whatever the chemical composition is there of matter remains the same, just they look different. Okay, like if example water displays different physical properties, like ice, water in the form of water, in the form of ice, or in the form of water vapor, but chemically they are same. If you say ice, water, or water vapor, and if you are asked to write the chemical composition of water or ice or water vapor, it will be H2O only. That means water is made up of 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. That is its chemical property. So it is same, it remains the same, only that the state of matter is changed. That is, water was in liquid state, then it became solid and becomes water vapor. So you could have the matter look different, but the internal structure, or you can say the chemical property or chemical structures, remains the same. So that type of changes which occurs without any change in the composition of substance or matter, or no change in the chemical nature of substance, so that type of change is called physical change. So we will see physical properties of matter are you can say different physical properties of matter are there, like color. Color is a physical property of matter. Hardness, if any substance is hard, that means it is its physical property, that it is hard in nature. Then rigidity, if a substance is rigid, that is its physical property and not a chemical property. Then fluidity, if a substance is a fluid, then it is physical property. Density, if a substance is more dense or high dense, then that is also its physical property. Then melting point, boiling point, if any substance have high melting point, or if it melts at a very low temperature, so that also is its physical property only. Even though sublimation, deposition, cutting, grinding, everything come under chemical property only. Sublimation also, there is just the change of the state, as I just discussed before. So change of states also come under physical property only. Here you can say in interconversion of state, like evaporation, melting, liquefaction, condensation, solidification, deposition, everything come under chemical property of matter only. So if a substance or a matter undergoes these things, that means it is showing its physical, just a physical change. Okay, so physical change can be reversible. As you know, if water became ice, and if ice melts into water and then vaporizes into water vapor, so that is reversible. Reversible means what? It can come back to its original state. Is water to water vapor and then water vapor to water, like that. Okay, so here there you can see there is no formation of a new substance. So water became water only, just the change in state happens. Okay, so if we like making solution of sugar, if you are making sugar solution, so that is also a physical change only. How? Because if you have made the sugar solution, so by evaporation you can just separate out sugar and water. So that is what? It is a reversible process. Reversible process means we are getting sugar and water again in its same state. Okay, so that type of thing is called what? reversible. So all the physical properties are like reversible in nature, and there is no change in the internal structure of matter in physical change. Just the thing or the matter look different due to change in its state. Okay, now we will quickly see the chemical changes. So chemical changes are those changes which bring change in the chemical property of matter. That means a new substance is formed. If you see any change in the chemical composition of matter, or you can see a new substance is being formed, then that type of change is called chemical change. So you can say chemical change is also called as chemical reaction. If a change in the chemical composition of any matter happens, that means that substance has undergone the chemical reaction. Understood? What did I tell you? If any chemical change is happening, or if a matter is undergoing any chemical change, that means it has undergone a chemical reaction. ठीक है? Example, burning of sugar cube. If you are burning a sugar cube, then it is a chemical change happening, and we can give two reasons for that. First reason is that sugar cube becomes blackened. It cannot be reversed back to the same sugar cube. That means it is irreversible. And sugar cube is burned. That means a new substance, ash or something, has been made. So new formation of new substance actually occurred. So that is called a chemical change. Their chemical reactions occurred actually. Then the melting of sugar cube is a physical change. Melting of sugar cube is a physical change because when you melt the sugar, and you can get the sugar again in its solid form. So that is a physical change. As I told you before, melting is a physical property of any matter. Okay. Then one more example we can give. Burning of wood is a chemical change. Why? Because there a new substance is getting formed. When wood is burnt, you can see the wood is converted into ash, and there is the liberation of carbon dioxide gas, then smoke, dust and all. So there a new substance is getting formed, and you are not going to get back wood again. That means what? A new substance is formed there. That means a chemical change has occurred in wood. Okay, so what reaction is taking place there? Wood is made up of carbon, and when it is reacting with oxygen in the presence of air, that means it is getting burnt. So there is a formation of ash and carbon dioxide. Means C plus O2, CO2 is getting formed plus ash. Okay, but if you cut a wood, cutting of wood is a physical change. If you are cutting a wood in different pieces, then you can just see the wood is not looking as same as log of wood is not looking as same, but there is no change in the chemical composition, or you are not going to make a new substance. It is a wood only its size and shape changes. So size and change in size and shape also is a physical property or a physical change. Okay, so anything like cutting, grinding, they are all physical change because there is no new substances getting formed there. Okay, but chemical change, okay, as I told you, chemical change is irreversible, as I told you, because there is a formation of new substance there, and you cannot get that substance back again. As I told you, burning of wood, if the wood is getting burnt, it will form ash, carbon dioxide and smoke, etc. So you are not going to get wood again back after burning. So you can say that a chemical change is irreversible process. Okay, example also I have given you, curdling of milk. If milk is getting converted into curd, then you cannot just convert curd again into milk. Just like ice is getting converted into water and then water to ice. That is physical change. But curdling of milk is not at all a physical change. It is a chemical change, because milk when converted into curd cannot be then converted again to milk. And here what reaction is taking place? If you would be knowing, you would have studied previously in your last year classes that milk is what? It contains the lactose in it. Okay, lactose sugar in it. or lactose. So here the lactose is getting converted into lactic acid. Understood? So lactic acid is what? Curd. And milk contain what? Lactose. So lactose to lactic acid means new substance is formed. It is lactic acid formation is taking place there. Okay. So now chemical properties are, like we saw the physical properties: rigidity, hardness, color, fluidity, density, then melting point, boiling point, sublimation. Just like that, you have some chemical properties like reactivity. If any matter or a substance is very reactive, or it is not reactive, very low reactive, that shows that it is a chemical property. Not toxicity. If a substance is very much toxic or it is not at all toxic, though, that is its chemical property. Flammability. How fast it burns or how slow it burns. That shows a matter's chemical property. Then oxidation. So I'll just show you what is oxidation actually. Reduction. Heat of combustion. Heat of combustion means what and heat are used in combustion, or how much heat is released, all come under the chemical property. Now chemical stability. How a matter is more stable or less stable, that is its, if a matter is more stable, then it is its chemical property only. If a matter is or a substance is less stable, then it also shows its chemical property. Now I'll just show you the oxidation. So rusting of iron, you know what is rusting of iron means what? कोई भी लोहे की चीज में जंग लगना. So rusting is what? Iron में जंग लगना. So if you see any iron material or iron substance, in that if you get the rust, can you get that rusted thing again to iron back? No, you cannot get the iron thing again back if rusting takes place in iron. ठीक है, जंग लगे हुए चीज को फिर से हम लोग उसको लोहे में नहीं बदल सकते हैं. So what is happening? Rust is a new substance which is getting formed in the reaction rusting of iron, or in the change rusting of iron. It is a chemical change happening actually. So it is an oxidation process. Oxidation process means what? Oxidation process means oxygen is getting added to something. Okay, so you know the iron symbol of iron is Fe. So if rusting is taking place, this is reaction of the chemical reaction actually taking place in the rusting of iron. So what chemical change is taking place here in iron? See, this is iron, and when it is getting exposed with oxygen and with the moisture, that is water, then iron is getting converted into iron hydroxide, that is FeOH whole 3. Or if iron is exposed time to time continuously with oxygen, then you can see what chemical reaction or chemical change happening in iron. Iron became iron oxide, okay, ferric oxide, that is Fe2O3. So these all new substance which are getting formed, they are nothing but the rust. So formula of rust is this one. So you can see here the iron is a material which is in which a chemical change is taking place. So iron now became a new substance, that is FeOH whole 3, and here also Fe2O3. So what from iron, rust is getting formed. So new substance is getting formed out of iron, that is rust is getting formed, and it is not going to reverse back into iron. So such type of reaction or chemical change is happening here. So from that we just come to know that chemical change is a change which brings change in the chemical property of matter. Chemical property, and I'll just explain you what are the chemical property of iron. Is not the chemical property of rust. Rust has some different chemical property than iron, है ना. आयरन बिल्कुल डिफरेंट चीज हो गया और रस्ट एकदम डिफरेंट चीज हो गया. सो केमिकल प्रॉपर्टीज differ actually. Okay, so here what is happening? A change in the chemical composition of iron is getting place. Also, in chemical change, all the chemical changes are irreversible. You are not going to get back the same matter after the chemical change has happened. Okay, so this is about the physical change and the chemical change. Okay, now we will see in brief the difference between physical and chemical change. So we will see in physical change is a change which occurs without any change in the chemical composition of matter. For example, water to water vapor. Then if there is change from water to water vapor, but the chemical composition remains the same. That is, water has a chemical formula H2O, and water vapor has also chemical formula H2O. So you can see here there is no change in the chemical composition of any matter when any physical change occurs. Okay, here in chemical change which brings change in chemical composition of matter. For example, milk to curd. So when milk gets changes into or converted into curd, then there is change in chemical composition also, because milk is made up of lactose, and when it is converted into curd, it becomes lactic acid. So you can say the chemical composition is changed, lactose to lactic acid. Similarly, iron to rust. Iron has this chemical symbol Fe, and it is getting changed into Fe2O3. So here you can see in chemical change, you can expect the change in the chemical composition of matter. That is lactose to lactic acid, and here iron to ferric or iron oxide or ferric oxide. Okay. Now second is, here there is no change in the chemical properties or chemical nature of matter. But in chemical change, there is change in the chemical property or chemical nature of matter. Okay. Third difference is, physical change means change in the physical properties of matter. So what are the physical properties of matter? Physical properties of matters are color, hardness, rigidity, shape, size, density, melting and boiling point, solubility. Even cutting, grinding also comes in physical change only. So physical change means change in the physical property, means change in color, hardness, rigidity, etc. Whereas chemical change means change in chemical properties of matter. And what are the chemical properties of matter? Chemical properties of matter are reactivity, toxicity, flammability, oxidation, reduction, heat of combustion, then chemical stability, etc. So change in these things means there is a chemical change. Okay. Fourth difference is, interconversion of state of matter is also a physical change. Okay, so what are called interconversion of state of matter? Evaporation, condensation, solidification, sublimation, deposition, etc. are the interconversion of state of matter. So they are all physical change. But here, interconversion of state of matter is not a chemical change. Okay. Now fifth difference is, here no new substance is formed. Only substance look different. For example, water just get converted into ice. So there is no formation of new substance. Then ice to water, yeah, water to water vapor, it remains H2O only. So there is no formation of new substance, or there is no reaction is happening. But here in chemical change, new substance is formed, or we can say chemical change means chemical reaction. For example, burning of wood to form ash, carbon dioxide, smoke, etc. As you know, wood is what? Made up of carbon. So if it is getting burnt, means combustion process is happening there. So combustion process occurs in the presence of oxygen, as you know. So carbon plus oxygen, it becomes carbon dioxide, smoke plus ash. So you can see here carbon is the matter or substance. It is getting converted into carbon dioxide. So here the formation of new substance is taking place. Okay. Even milk milk is getting converted into curd. That means here the formation of new substance, that is curd, is taking place from milk. Milk is lactose, and when it undergoes fermentation process in the presence of lactobacillus bacteria, milk gets converted into curd. That means a new substance is formed by the chemical reaction or by the chemical change, that is curd. Now sixth is physical change is a reversible process. Means it can be reversed. For example, if you take sugar plus water and if you do the dissolution process, we'll get the sugar solution. Now again sugar solution, if you want the sugar and water back, then again sugar solution, when it undergoes evaporation process, then you can get sugar and water back. Okay, similarly ice, when it undergoes melting process, it becomes water. When again if you want ice, means if freezing process occurs, then water again becomes ice. But here it is not like that. If you want curd to get back into milk, is there any process to get milk from curd? No. That means this is the chemical change occurred, and there it is physical change, just melting and freezing occurred. So it is just a physical change. Here you can see chemical change is irreversible process. How? The rusting of iron, if we see, this we have matter, we have iron, okay, and when it is exposed to oxygen continuously, as I told you, it becomes rust. Now if you want rust again get converted into iron, it is not at all possible. Means reverse reaction or reverse process is not possible in chemical change. So that is why we say that chemical change is irreversible process. Similarly, you can see here, this is also the formation of rust only. Okay, so like that you can just differentiate physical and chemical change. Good afternoon, children. Next topic is water purification system in water works. This is the last purification technique that you have to study in this chapter. So basically in this topic you have to study about the purification of water for drinking purpose. You should know what is water works. Water works is a system of reservoir, channels, pipelines and purifying equipments by which pure water supply is obtained and distributed in a locality. So basically water works means it is a system of setups in which reservoir in water is passed through various channels, pipelines and purification tanks and equipments by which we get the pure and potable water. So you can see this is the water work. Water work, you can see where you can see various channels, pipes and equipments, purifying tanks and equipments are there. This is the flow diagram actually, and this is the setup. We'll see first the flow diagram where water in the reservoir is made to pass through the sedimentation tank, then to the loading tank, and then it is passed through filtration tank, then water is passed through the last purification tank, that is chlorination tank, and here we get the pure and potable water which can hence be supplied and distributed in homes in different localities. So in sedimentation tank, you know, sedimentation process occurs where whatever water contains the heavier solid wastage settle down in the sedimentation tank, and those supernated water is then passed through the loading tank. In loading tank, loading process takes place where still the suspended impurities are there in water are made to settle down in the loading tank, and then water, whatever the water is there, supernated water, is then passed through the filtration tank. In filtration tank, water is filtered by different things in filtration tank, like by fine sand, gravels, charcoal, pebbles, etc. These are the things which are used to filter the water. Okay, then the last is one is chlorination tank. In chlorination tank, we use chlorine in different forms to remove the microorganism or pathogen if present in water. Okay, so this is the setup. So here you have water in reservoir. So before passing the water in sedimentation tank, generally we'll go for the screening process. What is the screening process? Screening process is used to remove floating matter in water. Sometimes you have various things floating on the surface of water like plastic, leaves, clothes or other floating matter. So by passing the water through the mesh or screen having large holes, this floating matter can be removed, and this process is called as the screening process. Now after doing the screening process, when the water is free from the floating matter, then the water which is free from floating matter is passed through the sedimentation tank. Okay, in sedimentation tank, sedimentation process occurs. Here the sedimentation process is used to remove the insoluble suspended particles such as sand, sleet, dirt, etc. Here the particles which are denser than the water settle down at the bottom, and whatever the supernated water is there is passed through the next step, okay, or the next tank, and whatever the suspended settled particles, denser, heavier particles than water, which are at the bottom of the sedimentation tank, are called as sludge. These sludge are of no use in this process, so it is drained off, but it can separately be used as manure. So sludge acts as a good manure. Okay, so this supernated water is passed to the next step, that is to the loading tank. In loading tank, loading process takes place. What happens that still some suspended impurities are there in water. So those are actually the fine suspended particles and clay which are still spread along with the water, and which are not able to settle at the bottom of the tank in the sedimentation tank. So what happens that in loading process we add alum to make these fine suspended particles and clay particle heavier. How? This alum, when added to the tank, it absorbs those fine suspended particles and clay particles to it. That means they adhere those fine suspended particles and clay particles on its surface and make those things heavier and goes to the bottom of the tank. So here alum is used to make those fine suspended particle and clay particle heavier by adhering those particles on its surface. So now those fine suspended particles and clay particles are at the bottom of loading tank, and they are called as the coagulants. These coagulants are of no use now. This can also be just drained off, and whatever the supernated water you have can be passed through the next tank, that is called as the filtration tank. Now in filtration tank, water still contains 10% of impurities in it, and it may contain still some sand, sleet or fine suspended particle and clay particle which are still remaining in the water. So in filtration tank you have different beds of different things like fine sand, gravels, coarse gravel, and sometimes charcoal bed is also there in filtration tank. So these things are used to settle the leftover impurities like sand, slate, fine suspended particles, clay, etc. So whatever those impurities are there get settled down when they are passed to different fine sand, gravel, coarse gravel, charcoal, etc. Charcoal is very important. In most of the tank, filtration tank, bed of charcoal is also made because charcoal is used to remove the taste of the water, odor of the water, and whatever color present if there in water. So charcoal bed is also important, and it should be made in the filtration tank. Now the filtered water is passed through the next tank, or the last tank you can say. It is called as the disinfection tank or the chlorination tank. So in this tank we use different types of disinfectant to remove microorganisms or pathogens if present in the water. You know, pathogens are disease causing microorganisms, and you know that there are different types of microorganisms present in water like various bacteria, viruses, then protozoa, etc. So those can be removed in the disinfected tank. So basically it is called as chlorination tank also because widely we use chlorine in different forms for the for removing the microorganism or pathogens. So here chlorine can be used as chlorine tablet, okay, or in the form of chlorine gas or bleaching powder. So what is the chemical formula of bleaching powder? It is CaOCl, that is calcium oxychloride. So basically we pass through chlorine gas to water, or we add chlorine tablet, or we add bleaching powder to the chlorination tank or disinfected tank, where whatever the microorganism or pathogens are present can be just removed. Okay, so while using the or while adding the chlorine tablet or bleaching powder, you should be very careful. You should add in a very sufficient or appropriate amount also. Okay, other than chlorine we also use some other disinfectant also, like we pass through the ozone gas sometimes to water to this disinfectant tank, or we can also use UV rays to remove the microorganisms, especially the protozoans, because it is generally seen that in chlorination, if you add chlorine is not able to kill or remove protozoans from water. So it can only be removed by passing ozone rays to the disinfectant tank. But since chlorine is very much cheaper, so it is widely used by the people to purify water. So this is the last purifying tank where we get the pure and potable water, which can hence be supplied or distributed in different homes in the locality. So that was about the water purification system in water works. Now I'll just tell you the general contaminants which are present in water. So as I told you, floating particles like plastic, clothes, leaf, etc. or other floating matters present in water, which are seen just floating on the surface of water. Second is suspended particles like sand and sleet. You have various suspended particles like sand, sleet and other dirt particles present in water, which can be removed by passing it to the sedimentation tank. Now you have colloidal particles like fine suspended particles and clay, which cannot be removed in the sedimentation tank. So those colloidal particles, they are very fine because so they are removed in the loading tank, okay, where alum is used to settle down these fine suspended particles or clay particle, or you can say the colloidal particles. Now next is microorganism. So you have different types of microorganism present in water, so that can be removed by using various disinfectant for removing those microorganisms. Disinfectant, basically we use the chlorination technique. We use chlorine tablet or chlorine gas or bleaching powder to remove the microorganism. So these are the general contaminants. Okay. Now we will discuss the homework question answer that was given to you on last class, that is on 5th May 2020. So there were 4 questions given to you. We will discuss one by one. First is, arrange the gases present in air in increasing order of their boiling point. Okay. So we saw that carbon dioxide has the highest boiling point and nitrogen has the lowest boiling point. So you should write in an increasing order. Whoever has the lowest boiling point, then more, then the highest. Everybody has written correct only, but one thing you should be very careful. Whenever it is asked in the question to write in increasing order, then you have to show by the increasing or decreasing order sign. Okay, so some of you have written 1, 2, 3, 4, some by comma, by giving comma after every gases. It's not like that. You have to show by increasing order sign. So next time whenever you are writing such type of answers, so for that you have to show the increasing or decreasing order sign. Okay, so it should be written like that. Okay, nitrogen boiling point is lower than argon. Argon boiling point is lower than oxygen. Oxygen boiling point is lower than carbon dioxide. That is minus 78.4 degrees Celsius. Now question 2 is something related to 1 only. Second is, which gas forms the liquid first as air is cooled? So air is cooled means what? You are decreasing the temperature. So the gas which has the highest boiling point will liquefy first when it is cooled down or when the temperature is lowered. So according to this thing, carbon dioxide should liquefy first because it has the highest boiling point. But you know that carbon dioxide has the property to convert itself directly from gas to solid state, that is as a dry ice. So carbon dioxide never comes in the liquid state. So we will go for the second one, second highest boiling point. So it is oxygen. So oxygen is the answer. So oxygen gas forms the liquid first as air is cooled. आया समझ में? Then third is, what do you observe in china dish or beaker in crystallization process? Okay. So direct answer, just direct answer. It is asking what do you observe during crystallization process in china dish. So we observe what? Formation of crystals take place when the hot and filter saturated solution of impure solid sample is allowed to cool in the china dish or a beaker for some time. Okay. Then the next question in this only, do the crystals look alike? Yes, the crystals look alike in the china dish. If it is of a needle shape means it will look same only. Okay. So yes, the crystal look alike in the china dish. Okay. Now next question is, how will you separate the crystals from the liquid in the china dish? So it is, we will separate crystal from the liquid by undergoing the crystallization process. Here actually it is asking the process first. What is the process applied for getting the crystal from a liquid? Okay. So most of you have written filtration process. Okay, understood. It is very much correct. But first you should write what is the process going on. Purification process you should write, that is crystallization process is taking place. If you write filtration means it shows that by filtration you are getting the crystals out of the liquid. No. So you should first mention the actual purification process. So in that we are doing filtration. No. So first you should write like that, we will separate crystals from liquid by undergoing the crystallization process. Okay. And then after that you have to explain what is happening in the crystallization process. That is, in crystallization process, the impure solid sample is dissolved in a minimum amount of suitable solvent above the room temperature. That is, we have to heat. That is why I have written above the room temperature to get hot saturated solution out of it. Okay. Then sorry, this hot saturated solution is filtered. So here two things are happening. Sometimes during filtering only the crystal separate out of the solution. When you start filtering only it cools so fast that starts forming the crystals. And sometimes what happens, the solution is allowed to cool for some time to form the crystals. Okay. So sometimes you have to wait to let it evaporated, whatever solution is there, and then you will see the appearance of crystals on the china dish. So I think you would have understood and your doubts would have been cleared. So this is about your homework question answer. Note it down. I repeat every time. If you have done any mistake or if you have not written till now, just note it down. These are the in-text question I am giving you. They are very important.
Thank you.